Hello everyone. This is Cheryl, and I'm here today to try and make some feather dangles to show you how to do them. I'll show you the ones that I have made. They're great for on journals. You can put them on as a dangle. So here's one. Let me see here. Here's one that I did, and I put beads on it. They're hand cut. Okay, and I just made a dangle out of it. Let's see how many things will go wrong today while I'm on camera. So here's another one, and I put a feather on it. I hope I'm showing it to you. So yeah, they are super cute. Like one of my favorite things. And here is another one going the other direction. Doesn't matter which direction. It's whatever you want. You can do them with browns, blacks. I did this one with a charcoal kind of color on the tips. These are kind of bluish. So there's those. Those are the small ones. They're not super small, but they're small. This is a big one that I did for on a journal. And as you can see, whoop, it's pretty big. It's on my journal spine. I can't take it off right now. It's on my journal spine along with my tassel. It has a big feather on it. It's a giant one. And it has a paper bead and some other beads from my stash. They are gorgeous. They look like real feathers. You know, they're really pretty. So, there it is. And it measures, this one is big. This one measures about 5.5 inches. So, you know, it's a pretty big one for on the back of your book spine. Or anywhere you want it, really. You don't have to make a dangle out of it. You can use them just as feathers and put them, glue them on the surface of your journal or whatever. So what you're going to need to do them is book pages. You know, we all have a million book pages. So for a small one, I'm going to fold this in half. And for a large one, whoops, there I am bumping the camera. For a large one, I would just take 2 book pages, you know, because it's going to take the majority of that page. All right, so let's do a small one. And I used 20 gauge wire, okay? 20 gauge wire I'm finding is the best. It's flexible enough to do a dangle, but it's stiff enough to make that center of the, you know, of the feather. Okay, so I have cut a piece of wire and I've bent it a little bit. You don't have to bend it so much. I'll try to make it a little straighter. I'll try to make a straighter one. I like curved feathers, but I'll try to make this one straight. I'm trying to make one, a little one, from this fall journal. I'm making a scrappy fall journal, and it has an owl and a raven in it, and I want a little dark feather. So I'm going to try to make a little feather. And I think I'm going to do it this way. Cut some of that off. And I need my little cart. Excuse me just a second. I need my little cart that has all my inks and stuff. Because I'm going to need that. You're also going to need some gesso. If you've never worked with gesso, it's very similar to white paint. To white acrylic paint. And I guess you could use that too, but gesso seems to work really good. So you're going to need that, and you're going to need your inks, and then if you're going to make dangles, you're going to need your beads and stuff, you know. and your wire cutters and all the things, all the tools that you use, you know. So anyway, what you're going to do first, I'm going to use Fabri-Tac, is you're going to lay your wire in there, and then you're going to glue it. Actually, I'm going to yeah. I'm going to put the glue on here. I'm going to use a little bit of this Fabri-Tac, and then I'm also going to spread it around with my glue stick, because I want it to stick really good when I get it together. I want it to dry pretty stiff and hard, like, you know, like not flimsy. And I'm going to even put a little bit of Fabri-Tac on the wire. Okay, on the wire. Then I'm going to put it in there where I want it. And then I'm going to close this up. And there it is. This is going to be a little feather, because for my journal that I'm making, I don't want to make it, I might make a bigger one, but I'm going to start with the small one. So I'm going to press it together really good, make sure it's, you know, down there really well. And then I'm going to take my, let's see, I think I'm going to take walnut stain, if I can find it, or frayed burlap, or any of those will work. And wherever this is, I'm going to go over it. And go over the stem. Okay, so I can see it. And now I can see the stem. So then I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm going to begin to cut, and I'm going to cut around it and kind of make it look like this. So it's going to kind of look like a leaf at first. Okay? Easy enough. All right. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to take start at the tip here, and I'm just going to take my scissors, and I'm going to begin to snip and make it look like a feather. It's not hard to do. And you see it? It's starting to look like a feather already. You can cut both ways. You know how feathers are, they're all over the place. Come out of there. And I just take little snips. That was kind of a big snip, but it won't matter. In the end, it won't matter. Okay, so then I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to do the other side, because you know how the beginning of the feather looks here. And so I'm just going to keep snipping. And you can't really mess it up. I mean, it's a feather. Haven't you ever seen a feather where some of them are matted together and you see these gaps like that? I'm sure you have. So there we go. So there it is. And there's the feather itself. It can hang either way. I'm gonna hang it this way. I'm gonna try and straighten it a little bit. I usually always make mine a little curved. And so there's that. Let me get rid of this mess. So there's that. Okay, how easy was that? Now I'm going to take my ink and I'm going to ink it. With my walnut stain. You could use vintage photo. You could use frayed burlap or any of the espresso color or any of the, you know, brown colors. And you just make it brown. Okay. And now, close my glue up here. Now I'm going to take my gesso and I'm going to get a page here that I can use so I don't mess up everything with gesso. So now I'm just going to take my brush. For the bigger ones, I use this. I use a brush that's kind of old and, you know, really like this looking. And I have this one, which I use for the little ones. I got my paper towel. Okay, so I'm gonna dip into my stuff. All right, can you see me? Am I in the frame here? I want to be in frame. Here we go. I'm gonna do this. And so that I don't have too much on there, I'm just gonna very lightly go over it. Color it. Now we're gonna whiten it a little. Just a little bit. Because we like that gesso look. Okay, flip it over. Now we're just painting it a little bit with some gesso, just making it, you know, not totally drenched, but just kind of dry brushed. You don't want your brush wet. You want it kind of dry. And you're just gonna dry brush it a little bit. So it looks like that. Okay? It's not completely covered, but it's pretty good. All right? And it's gonna dry pretty quickly. And then we're going to and then we're going to ink it again. Only this time we're going to do that. We're going to do that stem. Let me do it this way. That stem, we want our stem to in the center to show up. Okay. Boy, picking up stuff. Okay, there I got the stem. And now I'm just going to go along and I'm going to do the tips. really like it better when I have those little ink daubers. Let me get one. See, it's starting to look like a feather. Let me get my little ink dauber. I want the black one. Well, I might want the black one. I'm going to do some black. But I'm going to do this first. So if you have these little ink daubers, it's gonna do good for you. And so you're just gonna daub it up. Dab me up. Okay. You see there? It looks like a feather. Now, I'm doing that journal which has that dark owl and that raven. And so, because of that, I'm going to do layers. So I'm going to put, oh my golly, picking up these wires. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit, I'm going to go around my tips with black because I want this feather to have the look like it came off of that owl or the raven. And I might do it blacker than I normally would. Normally I wouldn't do it quite like that, but depending on the bird. So you see what I'm doing? I'm making it, this is black. In the camera it might look a little bit blue. I'm looking in the camera and I'm saying, that looks kind of bluish, but I'm just doing my tips. Like that. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to do that center. And then I'm going to go back and I'm going to do some frayed burlap in here because this frayed burlap is not black, but it's not as light as like some of the browns. And I wanted to have just that little bit of that look like it, almost like it came off of that owl, you know, with just a tiny bit of, white. You just play around with it until you get it the way you want it to look. Just think about how a feather looks. And there you go. Now, isn't that pretty? There we go. Now, in the camera, it looks whiter, but in here, in person, it has more of that brownish look. I don't know why it looks lighter in the camera. It just does. But, you know, I'm just making it look like I want it to look, okay? So that's how I want it to look. And I like the darkness on the edge because on the edge of feathers, they're always darker than sometimes in the center. Okay. So there's my feather. There's the wire. Now, what I did with mine was I took them out at this point and I laid them on paper, and I have this spray that is called glitter dust, iridescent. And I got it from, I think I got it on Amazon. Either that or I got it at Hobby Lobby. I don't know. And you want to do this outside or on your back porch. Lay paper out, like a paper bag or something. And I sprayed mine with the glitter dust, all of them. And it kind of seals everything. Well, darn. It kind of seals everything, and it made it kind of, you know, nice and hard. Everything's sealed in there, and it has a little bit of a sheen to it. You can't probably see that on camera, of course, but it has just a little bit of an iridescent sparkle to it, which I like. And I just like the fact that it sealed it. You could also use Mod Podge spray. I have a sealer from Mod Podge. Where is it? No, this is spray adhesive. I don't want that. I have this. Nope, this is not it. Here we go. I have so many. This is Mod Podge clear acrylic sealer. You could spray them with that. There's no reason why you couldn't. And I probably would, but I like the glittery. So I sprayed it. You don't have to spray them at all. I mean, you don't have to do any of that. Most people who make them just leave them the way they are, and you can, but they're kind of flexible and they could get torn. So I like to spray them because it seals and makes them not as breakable. Okay, so I'm probably going to do that. I will put one together with some beads here though, just to show you. Let me see here. Or maybe I'll do a big one and put that one together. This one I do want to spray because this one's going to go in my fall journal, I think. So I don't want to spray that. I mean, I don't want to bead that one up. All right, so for a big one, I'm going to get a big piece of wire. This is like the one that I put on my journal spine. I'm going to get a bigger piece of that wire. And I'm going to get it the way I want it. Okay. And then I'm going to, let me do this. I'm just going to put it in here where I'm going to put do my feather, you know, and I need to put a little bit of this. This is going to help it to be sturdier too, you know, putting some of this on here and then spreading it out. It's going to make it do good. And then let's see, how long do I want it to be? Probably about like that. And then I'm going to put my Fabri-Tac on here. Okay. And then I'm going to lay it down on there. And then I'm going to put the other page on there. All right. And we want that. Mine are always going to be curved, guys. I think I made one that was straight looking, more straight looking. But for some reason, mine always come out that way, and I am trying to get it straighter, but it's going to be curved. All right. So I'm going to find the stem, because that's how I know where to, there we go. That's how I know how to cut it, is I know where that stem is. All right. Now, if I wanted this to be thicker without spraying, I just thought of this. You could also do this. You could also do this. You could make this 4 layers. I think one girl that I watched do this did it. So let's put another layer on there. Why not? Okay. So now it's getting thicker. And you can do that. Do we want another one on there? I think this one is good. Okay. 3 to 4 will make it nice and stiff. And I might have done that with some of them, but I think the spray helped too. But anyway, let's move on. Okay. So now I'm going to, again, cut it into something that kind of reminds you of a leaf. Are you seeing me do this? There it is. Kind of, sort of. Like a leaf. All right. And now I'm just going to start making it look like a feather. A feather. And since this one is bigger, you know, your snips can be bigger. Feather, feather. Yeah, I think I like it thicker. So my recommendation to you is put 3 to 4 heavier book pages together. That way you're going to get a nice, heavy, you know, a nice, thick feather. Feather. So, don't be afraid to cut this, because you can't really mess it up unless you cut it, you know, too wide. See that? It's just not hard at all. You can do it. Look like little triangles that I'm taking out of there. And sometimes, every once in a while, I go the opposite direction. Take a sliver like that. Because feathers are all over the place, aren't they? When it comes to that. See that? Yeah, I definitely think I must have did more book pages. Feels thicker and I like it. 3 to 4. If you're folding them in half, like for the smaller ones, you'd want to do 2 full book pages folded in half, and that's like 4 layers then. And it'll probably be a more sturdy feather. You know what I mean? You want a sturdy feather, especially if you're making it as a dangle, something like that. Okay, so there it is. How cute. And it can hang either way you like it, you know. Okay, where's my book page? All right. So now I have it there. I'm going to go over the thing again. I'm just going to make it dark because I'm going to white it out, you know, anyway. All right, where's my stuff? Where'd I put my stuff? Here it is. All right, I'm gonna try this brush because I really like when it's dry. I really like how it does. It's just so old and kind of damaged, and it just paints it the way I want it to be painted. And see, in the places where you think it was smeared up and too dark, you're gonna even it out. You know what I mean? It's gonna be fine. So there it is. Okay. So again, I'm dry brushing. Don't make your brushes wet before you do it. You don't want that. Plus this way, it dries quickly, very quickly. I'm going to paint that a little bit because that did come out a little bit dark, and then I'm going to go over it again, you know. So there we go. It's painted, but you can still see the writing on the feather. So now I want it dry. This is so fun. I love these. Okay. Ta-da, ta-da. Okay, very good. It's dry. I keep leaving my glue open. All right, so now I'm going to do this one with frayed burlap because I love it. It's just darker. Wait, I did that wrong. I did it wrong. I did it wrong. I'm going to make it right. Boy, I'm getting to the end of this gesso. Okay, so we're gessoed up. And now I'm going to put my brushes, this brush anyway, into the water so it doesn't dry hard as a rock. Okay, let me dry this. So I'm going to go around the tips, and I'm going to go in the center a little bit. Just a little bit. Let's start with the other side. All right, this is dry. So I'm going to go and just dab, dab, dab. Just a little bit. Dab, dab, dab. See that? Just a tiny bit. Just a tiny bit. Dab, dab, dab. Not too much. Just a little bit. And then, where's my little dauber? And then I'm going to do the edges. Are you seeing me? Then I'm going to do the edges. I want them kind of dark. I want them to be accentuated. Oh, love it. Yeah, do 4 layers if you can, because you're going to like your feather better. Feather better. You're going to like it better if you're not going to spray it. If you're going to spray it with sealer or with that other spray, you might be able to get away with 2 or 3. But if you want it to be nice and sturdy, just go ahead and do 4 layers. Look at that. It's just book pages. It's just your book pages that you never know what to do with. Okay. It is starting to look like a feather. I don't know what kind of feather, but it's cute as anything. You know, dab, dab, dab. Okay. Looky there. What do you think, guys? It could go darker. I could go darker. I could do it. And I kind of like it. I kind of like it really dark on the edges or blue. I did some, you know, I showed you those ones I did in blue, and that's pretty too. So this is black. You could do charcoal gray, the smoky gray or whatever also. So I'm inking my fingers. They're going to look cute. But see that just, it just looks good, doesn't it? It just looks good. I like it. So I'm mixing. So I did the burlap, frayed burlap, and now I'm doing the black. And I'm just mixing it up. And when I did the blue ones, I did like frayed burlap and not stormy skies. I did some other darker blue. It was called Uncharted Mariner. Such a pretty blue. Whoop, up, 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 up. Now I'm really mixing them. Okay, so there we go. Like I said, it looks darker in person. What I'm doing here looks darker in person than it does on the camera. But it sure does look good. There we go. Now I like it. And at this point, that's when I would spray it. And it's pretty nice and pretty sturdy. But it would be sturdier if it had one more layer and a layer of spray. But I'm going to show you how I put the beads on there. Now, I don't know. Am I going to screw this up on camera? Probably. I don't know. Let me get rid of this mess. I don't know, because you know that's how it goes sometimes. You go to do something on camera, you look like an idiot because you can't do it right. Now, why does that happen? I don't know. I don't know. Okay, so I need to pick out a couple beads. These are so cute. These are just, oops, these are just like super cute, super cute. All right. So I'm probably going to put one of these paper beads. I love to make paper beads. So I'm going to decide which paper bead before I, ooh, that's pretty. Okay. I like the turquoise too. So I think I'll go with these really dark little beads. You know, I am not a professional beader. So all you people who know what you're doing, please don't gasp when you watch me. Because I'm probably going to do stuff that will make you gasp. Nope, I don't want that one. Because I'm not a professional beader, you know? I'm just me trying to do something that looks cute. Now, I like that. I don't want to put too many on there. See that? That's kind of cute. So then what I do is I take my little trusty loop maker, and I see whether I can make a loop or whether I can screw it up. There, that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. And I'm not gonna mess with it too much. I do want to get it straight. I do. So bring that around so that it gets straight. Like I said, don't be gasping and have a spell or anything. And then I'm gonna cut this wire real close. And then I'm going to take these and press that in and make sure I don't have any pieces it's going to stick anybody. And there it is. There's the dangle. You see that? Now, if I wanted to, I'm not going to do it because I'm going to spray this. But if it was already sprayed and it was done and dry, I would put a feather on here probably. I have some feathers like I showed you on the big one on my journal. See that? It's got a feather on it. Oh, so cute. And this little one here has a little feather, a little spotted feather, the same color as this blue. You don't have to put those on. You could tie your, and what I really like to do is tie my cord on here, which I didn't do. I like to tie it on there before I put that first bead. Because otherwise, see, it gets tight and then you don't have as much room, and I might have to tie it up here. I don't know what's going to happen when I do that. But I would tie that piece of cord, and I bought this cord, you know, in the beading section at the Hobby Lobby. So I'd probably take black and tie it around there, around this wire, and then put these beads on. I think that's how I did it. The first time I didn't do that, and it was tougher to do. So then after that, I started tying that on there, and then putting the beads on, and then putting the beads on the cord as well. So there you go. But you could use it just like it is. I mean, you don't have to put all the adornments on it. I've seen people have them hanging and they're just as cute, you know, but I do like to spray them. I have to confess, I love the way these feel and the way they're stiff. You know, they're not gonna tear so easy. I think I did use like 3 to 4, and then I put a couple coats, one on each side or so, of the spray after I inked them, and that also helps to make them dry kind of stiff. And like I said, you could use the Mod Podge sealer spray, and whichever you would like. So there you have it. That is how you do it. And I hope you will try one and make one for yourself. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll probably take a big one like this, maybe even a bigger one, and make this dangle, and I'm going to hang it from my rear view mirror in my car because I just like the way they look. You know, a couple of them maybe with feathers on them. Wouldn't that be cute? They'll be so cute. So anyway, they're not just for journals. You can use them anywhere, really. And I had these hanging on my friendship wall because I made them and I didn't want to throw them in a box or a container somewhere. I hung them up, so I'm going to hang them back up there. But they can go on, they'll go on a journal eventually or something, you know. And so there you go. That's how you do it. And if you want these to stay in place, you could just, under that knot, put just the tiniest little dab of glue and let it dry. And then they're not going to go all over the place, you know. So there you go. There you have it. That's how you do it. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. You know, it helps if you give me a thumbs up. If you subscribe to my channel, you don't miss any more content. And so anyway, I hope you have a great crafty day, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.